Good eye. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, how I wanted to introduce this video was talking about relationships. So, honestly, you could go time and time and time again with how complicated things are with today's dating market when it comes to what feminism seems to be pushing out towards women. I mean, I've been noticing this since high school. I had a few relationships in high school. They all kind of went weird. Realized over time that people don't know what they want. They don't know anymore. It's just they don't know how to find themselves, and when they don't want to find themselves, they're not going to find loyalty in anybody else. So what it ends up coming down to is that you have to know your own value, and I don't mean that in the sense of like, oh, look at what I bring to the table, like what a lot of the feminism discussions usually lead to, where it's just straight up misandry against men, and they don't even know what the word means. They don't know what the word means. I mean, misandry is by default to be prejudiced towards men, just like misogynist is to by default be prejudiced toward women. And the thing is, man, to all you young guys out there, I'm 23, man. I get it, man. And I know for a lot of you guys, you might be like, oh, I mean, I don't know how you guys are going to look at me. If you're going to look at me as average, as ugly, as whatever. I'm going to tell you right now that stuff doesn't matter with the way that these people's personalities are. Because just because a pretty woman, a 9 out of 10, walks up to you, that doesn't mean shit. It really doesn't. And what it usually ends up leading to is you possibly having a fun time, which I've pretty much never really had myself. I've always wanted to save that for marriage, for someone that actually likes me for who I am. And since I've had to come with the terms, that's just not how today's world works. And people are getting crazier and more secluded, and at the same time, too, it doesn't help that the economy's going the way it's going. And I mean, it's getting harder and harder for one person to support themselves. So it's starting just to become unrealistic for people to try to get in relationships at this point. It's getting wild. And for all of you out there that do have a relationship that's worthwhile right now, congratulations. I'm serious. I do not have any ill will towards you, and I also don't have any ill will towards people that believe that there's just no hope left for them whatsoever, because I believe there at least is hope for a good chunk of us out there, but now that hope is so small because the pool of people worthwhile getting in a relationship with is just decreased. So just focus on you, man. Get done what you know you need to get done. Whatever's holding you back mentally, don't get caught up in the emotions, because I spent the last, I'd say probably from end of high school, which for me was 2019 was my graduating year, to like a few months ago, pretty much just wallowing in my own sorrows of I'll never have a relationship worthwhile. And I'm realizing that it's much, much nicer having my own freedom and my own ability to just take time, learn about the world, learn more about myself, than having to deal with somebody else's bullshit. That's just what it comes down to. I mean, I could go on and on. There's plenty of people that talk more in depth with this, and one of my highest recommendations for that I've learned a lot from is Better Bachelor. I'm sure any of you guys that might be seeing me, if you haven't heard of him, go look him up. I know I'm much smaller of a creator than him, and it's kind of pointless for a small creator to shout out a larger creator, but at the same time, I'm going to let you guys know who actually inspires me in this world too. So just keep your head up as much as you can, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you going, is trying to keep your head up. Don't make false justifications to yourself. Don't try to justify things based on what other people are telling you. Just feel it out yourself. If you really, really absolutely want a relationship, then you're going to have to vet very, very, very hard. And you're going to have to go out of your way. And that means not dating apps and not the cold approaching stuff. The best way that I know of is by getting to know people who are already in relationships. Ask them how they met, and make sure it's relationships you know are going solid. You don't want to go up to someone whose relationship's really 50-50 and they're just trying to make things work, but it's not really working out, and so you can kind of tell who those people are. And you're just be willing to hear all the advice that you're going to hear. You're going to hear outdated advice. You're going to hear things that just don't apply to you. But you need to gather these bits of information so that you have an idea. And here's really the best part of getting to know someone that is in a relationship. They're most likely, especially if they're married, networked to a whole other family than their own. And so within that group, if you're not, if it's a friend of yours and you met him wherever or met her wherever, and they may know people who are actually worthwhile getting a relationship with, who are open-minded and single themselves, and be in mind, you will still have to vet those people too. Don't just take it at face value. You need to be willing to ask the hard questions to people, like, where do you see yourself? What do you believe in? What are your opinions on X, Y, or Z? Because the things that bother you the most, you're going to want to just get that answer out of the way. You don't want to hop into a relationship light-footed and just walk around and let the problem prop up like 4 or 5 months later or a few weeks later. Nip that immediately. Now, you don't have to be rude about it. You can still just baseline introduce yourself, just talk to the person, get to know them, and just not be afraid to be who you are as a person and tell them about your interests. And if they get all weird about anything that you absolutely love doing, like if you like to, you like the game every once in a while, if you like to go hunting, if you like to go fishing, if you like to go mudding, if you like to hop on a dirt bike and go hopping on hills every once in a while, or just whatever it is that you like doing, and that gives you your peace of mind at the end of the day or just throughout your days and gives you relaxation, if anybody's got a problem with that, they're not for you, man. And even if it's not their spin, if they can at least understand where you're coming from and are willing to even participate, go along, or just let you do your thing, that's what's important. But until you can end up in that scenario, you don't want to hinge all your hopes on that, because that keeps you from being able to focus on you. And focusing on you is the most important thing that you need to be doing right now. That's what I'm doing. If something comes along, fine. If not, who cares? I'm not worried about it anymore. This world has so much going on in it that I am fearful for bringing another generation into this mess. And I don't care what people like Matt Walsh have to say about it. You've got to actually be a part of like what's going on and in this situation to understand it. If you have always had relationships work out with you for whatever reason or another, just through pure coincidence or due to other values, you're not going to understand where these men are coming from, especially the men who have been with someone for 5 years, nothing, 10 years, nothing, 15, nothing, 20, done, 30, done. Highest one I know of from personally is my mother just dealt with a friend of hers who he just came out of a 46-year relationship, essentially. They'd spent like 10 years together or whatever, or a few years together, and then the rest were actually married, and they just got a divorce. And it was because this woman had red flags about her the entire time. So you gotta stay careful. Anyway, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Take care. Make the most out of every second that you can, because you can always have time to make money. You cannot make time. You understood? You always have time to make money. You cannot use money to make time. Can't do it. Can't do it. As time rolls on, the universe is just getting older and older. Nothing that we can do, doesn't matter how many trillions of dollars you pour into it. None of us have a time machine yet, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, peace. Enough said. Make the most of your day.